So I welcome you once again on behalf of DG, our DDG program manager and senior colleagues in MSG. I want to warmly welcome you this morning. It's your session, and today we are having very interesting sessions. And one thing I would like to assure us today, we'll do our best to be within time. We started yesterday, we had a good turnout, but we also know labor mobility drove the session yesterday, and we stretched it a little, but nevertheless, we got the results we wanted, and we want to thank every one of you for your contributions. Our presenters, both in the labor mobility, the youth, gender and employment session, and our presenters in the Aid for Trade session, all discussions were lively and timely. And just to give a recap from our session, my dear esteemed colleague, Sovaya will give her recap for yesterday's session, which I believe was really, really insightful. Did you enjoy yourselves yesterday? Did you enjoy the case studies, the practicality from our seasonal worker? You had it for yourselves, and the beauty about it is you have been given the opportunity to shape every outcome. So we are here to listen to you. You speak your mind, of course, respectfully, and we take note of it, and we do our best as God graces us to implement. And together we celebrate at the outcome. So today we are on another session, and we have our first session, Storian Blow Business, I believe. And for the private sector, essentially, we'll be having two presenters who will be taking us through what they have done to make their businesses marketable. How many want to have their businesses marketable beyond the shores of Vanuatu? If you're here, how many want to see their products in Kenya, where I come from? Yeah. So you know there is grace and there is skill. Sorry, I'm a Christian and I don't apologize. There's a place for grace. But once God gives you grace, he also wants you to be skillful. You don't just go and present your cloth anyhow and say, okay, buy it. It's an even dress, or there's a way you do it. So that's the purpose of the session this morning. We are going to be having two presenters, one from Tuvalu, another from Fiji, still ACP, and they'll be telling us what they have done to get there. And for you is to take your notes in terms of how do they brand their products. I'm seeing beautiful dresses there. How does a Kenyan know that's the Vanuatu traditional dress? What makes it tick beyond other? We have so many traditional dresses, but you need to ask yourself, how does the Nivan traditional dress, how will it stand out amongst others in different markets? Hence today's topic will be basic understanding on branding and use of social media. We are on WhatsApp, we are on Facebook, we are on Viber. How do you use these basic tools to talk about your products? It's going to be a discussion, but closer to time, as we advance our collaboration with the private sector, we'll be having extensive trainings on that. So whenever you're called upon by ourselves, by the VCCI, by the industry and trade department, avail yourselves and you will get trained more and more as we progress. And then from there, we'll move to the more interesting session, which is the story and blow business. That's a dialogue session, and we'll break it into two components. The first one will be market preparedness and finance for your products to move from Vanuatu to Fiji, or from Fiji to Solomon Islands. You need money. What kind of mechanisms are being provided or are available for you to access that money? Trade finance, that's what we are calling it. So we want to hear from you. What are the gaps? What are the challenges you're facing? And what do you want the government, the policy makers to take into consideration? The financial institutions, what are the recommendations you want to give? I'll give an example. We have our mobile money systems? Is that could be a viable option? Do we have ways of getting loans with less interest, loans that have less risks attached to it? Because a number of financial institutions, let me not say most, look at the issue of high risk. So how do we manage trade finance vis-a-vis MSMEs, vis-a-vis the small trader? He wants money, he has goods to trade. What are the recommendations that we are going to put on the table for us to consider? That will be the first session. And the second session will be the issue of standards. Standards is basically your goods attaining a certain level of credibility in another market, in terms of health, in terms of packaging. You know, some countries have different requirements of packaging. There are some countries now that we are moving towards sustainable development. They insist that your packaging has to comply with environmental standards. How many have heard of that? Like maybe you cannot package your product in a plastic bag. You have to use this alternative. All these are discussions we have to be alive to. And it's the right time to have these discussions. We'll make them as simple, as basic as possible. And would also like to hear your insights. How would you collaborate with policymakers in ensuring our products attain the required market standards? And for that, we have greater market access. In the other room, which is breakout B today, there'll be the issue of trade agreements. We'll be talking about the various trade agreements, PESA Plus, MSGTA, I believe also PICTA to a large extent, and we'll have our presenters giving different insights on the provisions in those trade arrangements. Do those provisions promote women in business? If not, what are the recommendations that are required to improve the trade agreements? And then further towards the end, we'll be looking at e-commerce or digitization. And we know that with the COVID pandemic, a lot of businesses were affected. And what the dialogue for the last 2 years was, how do we get the internet to be a sufficient platform for our products to be marketed or for products to be exchanged? And that is what we are calling e-commerce. So we'll be having a presentation from our very own Dr. Radhika Kumar. She's handling the connectivity, Commonwealth connectivity agenda. And she's been working with the Pacific, and from there she moved to the Commonwealth. So she has an understanding, because she's also from the Pacific, she's from Fiji. So she'll be giving a presentation on how best as the private sector we can make use of the Commonwealth connectivity agenda, which addresses the issue of supply constraints. So e-commerce, you will learn how do you use the internet to get your products across. What are the issues currently and how can they be addressed in a very basic and in a very private sector approach? And finally, we'll be closing with a sustainable development and trade panel that is basically environmental aspects, how they affect our trade as female entrepreneurs. What should we consider? And from there, we'll have a beautiful closing ceremony for all of us who will be in the branding session this morning. You'll have a beautiful closing ceremony. You will be awarded with something great from our very own MSG. So don't go, stick around for your reward or your award. Just to let us know, it's not money, but it's a life achievement. You can use it anywhere you go, and it will take your business to another level. Thank you very much. I have just summarized the agenda for today, and I look forward to your participation. I look forward to your proactivity. Speak, if you have to speak in Bishlama, it is fine. There'll be always somebody to interpret, but today is that time where you have to speak, because we are taking down recommendations and we look for you after this. Who wants to be looked for after this? We look for you. We are good at looking for people. So when we look for you, you avail yourself. When we say, you said this, now come, let's do it together. Thank you very much. God bless you. I hand it back to my DDG. Sorry, let me call Mam Sova to give her a recap of yesterday's session. Clap for her, Sheikh. I'm just going to clap for people. Clap. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Also, good morning from all the online participants who are here with us, and also our presenters, speakers, and our moderators this morning. It's a pleasure to be here again this morning, a beautiful day here in Port Vila, and also with our participants who are here. Yesterday we had our opening, and there were also sessions yesterday from all the speakers. We had the opening. I'll just give us a recap of what happened yesterday. Generally, there's a general appreciation on women's contribution in our societies and families, and that women entrepreneurs play an important role in contributing towards economic empowerment and development. So that message came across loud and clear from all the speakers yesterday. There were also a presentation from which reflected on the ongoing work at the international level, at the WTO, and also at the regional level with respect to decisions that have been taken by leaders over the recent past in regards to doing work on gender equality, and also with respect to the topic that we are discussing, which is trade and gender generally. So there have been several decisions already undertaken as well by countries in the Pacific, members of not only the MSG, but also our Forum Island leaders, PACP countries, with respect to women in development, recognizing their role and the commitment they made to empowering women so that they're able to lift their standards. And so those are good guiding points, guiding decisions for us that gives us a light in terms of the work that we need to do to be able to empower, help women and empower them in trade, and also generally in the economic development of our countries. One of the issues that was raised yesterday was data collection. Generally, there is lack of data with respect to, and there's a need to develop this at the national level. So we need to assist our members with respect to the national capacities and enable them and enhance and improve data collection so that there is data available to policymakers to be able to make an informed decision. Yesterday, we heard from Madam Ambassador Merifal Maka with respect to the work done at the WTO level, which is the Trade and Gender Hub. So already there is some form of database available that provides some information with respect to trade and gender. And there's still ongoing work being done at the international level. So the question that has been raised is, how do we shape trade policy to better facilitate women in trade. There are still a lot of barriers for women participating to be able to able to provide an opportunity for them to market their products and also sell their products, not only at the national level, but also at the international level. There are already ongoing programs in the region with respect to gender mainstreaming, women from the perspective of trade, and there's a lot that needs to be done still. And so the question was, there is a need to review our trade policies to be gender inclusive. And as already mentioned, the importance of data. So reviewing of bilateral or regional trade policies, which includes the MSG trade agreement to encourage women in business and provide them opportunities available in their national, in the markets and also at the regional level. Presentations yesterday also underscored the importance of aid for trade in shaping sustainable developments. So these are new topics that have come on board at the regional level. Traditionally, we are at the MSG, we are talking about trade and also with respect to trade facilitation and so forth. And so there are now questions with respect to including sustainable development agenda in our programs. And as already mentioned, these are discussions already be taking place at the national level. Yesterday, we also heard about presentations with respect to labor mobility and the benefits that it has given to our Pacific people. For Vanuatu, it has really benefited them, and I must say that most it's targeting really the unskilled workers and semi-skilled in tourism, forestry sectors. Right now, there's a general question about participation with respect to there's a lot of people going out, and these are youthful. They are the most youthful population, and they are very strong, and they're taking up work overseas. At the national level, there's a need to be developing a labor force survey. Again, the data issue came up in yesterday's presentations. There were challenges highlighted by the presenters who spoke yesterday. There's a lot of drain in terms of human resources, and therein lies a question of how we strike a balance between meeting the local demand with respect to our sectors, our industries, those who need to work in the restaurants, those who need to work in the shops to be able to get the economy continue working versus meeting the demand of overseas markets and going to meet overseas labor shortages demands out there. There are also challenges that we heard yesterday with respect to, especially for women, English language is not our first language. And so the understanding between, you know, a Fijian speaker or a Bishlama speaker going in a English context and how to translate that as well. And the understanding behind decisions that they make. Cultural barriers, there's domestic violence, sexual harassment. So we need to, our labor mobility schemes will need to provide for a safe environment for our women and our workers who go abroad. There are also specific challenges with respect to health. We heard about cases of cancer yesterday, and how when someone is sick, what do they need to do next? You know, as at home in the islands, we don't call the ambulance right away. We just do the home remedy. And so it has some implications there when they get sick and they need to be hospitalized. Also, returning workers, when they come back, they do not return to their previous jobs if they're working in shops or whatever jobs that they were working in. So they stay around at home until they wait for the next job to go across for labor mobility. So that's a challenge with respect to how we manage the economic sector here. There's also a need to work closely with the business community to be able to draft policies and address the needs not only of the business community, and as I mentioned, a balance between servicing shortages of overseas demands with respect to labor and also the local market. Recommendations that have come on board yesterday was reviewing of MOU. There was talk about the culture. I think this is currently being discussed to address the cultural component and enable pastoral care and support to be given to seasonal workers. A need for welfare, to support workers' welfare, strengthen pre-departure and post-work briefing in the vernacular, develop a pathway for returning workers to integrate them back into the country, and also need a holistic approach for pre-departure and returning period for our workers. Yesterday's presentation, we also heard about what other regional organizations are doing with respect to labor mobility. We had presentations from PACE Plus implementation unit, who gave a brief background on what they are currently implementing with respect to labor mobility. And we heard about the priorities with respect to their work program to increase regional cooperation, and also providing assistance at the regional level and national level with their key stakeholders. And they're also looking for pathways for labor mobility schemes, especially for women, and the development impact of labor mobility as well. From the business sector, we had a presentation from Ms. Julia Johnston, and yesterday we heard about the challenges that the business sector is facing here in Vanuatu due to lack of suitable and qualified workers to continue serving in the businesses community here in Vanuatu, as many of the new Vanuatu citizens have gone abroad. And that experience is not only happening here in Vanuatu, but I guess across countries as well. We also heard about the benefits of the scheme from Ms. Samantha. She has been able to, support her family from the income she was getting to be able to, when she took that, when she went across to New Zealand. There was a youth presentation yesterday from the Pacific Youth Council. Now, interesting presentation from the youths. The question of sustainability of the labor scheme in the long run. And also a need for mentoring of youth in overseas markets. Culture is important, as mentioned already. And also governments will need to upskill youth to be able to contribute to national development, not only training them to go abroad for labor mobility work, but also those who are remaining or when they return as well. So briefly, those are the issues that we've captured. A highlight of what was captured is in yesterday's discussions. And I guess that briefly closely identifies some of the policy issues and programs that we need to look at, and also help as well our partners, regional partners who are available with respect to addressing issues on trade and gender. So now I hand over to Jill to take us through for the next part of the program.
Thank you, Mom Sova. And thank you those of us who are joining online. I can see we are joined in by a number of us. Tuvalu, I can see Commonwealth Secretariat is online, and we want to just extend our appreciation for that support this morning. We are now going to be moving into the sessions proper, and in the interest of time, those of us who are remaining in for the branding and social marketing session, you remain in this room. And the ones who would be going in for the trade agreements session, that will be moderated. And I just recognize the presence of Associate Director Outreach, Pacific Fusion Center. I hope that's the correct designation, Madam Anna Nopa. She's the one who will be working with SOVA in the moderation of the trade agreements, in particular the session on digitization. She's here. Okay, she's going to be in the digitization session. So she will work closely with Ma'am Sova this morning, moderating our trade experts and our online participants as well. So our esteemed colleague Neti will be helping the online participants move into their respective rooms. And those of us who are here for the training and then the Storian Blow business, you'll remain here. But there's tea. So what I would request, let it be a working tea. So just take your tea and come and have your tea as we work. I don't know whether we are having another. All right, so just pick your tea, and those who are going to room 2 at the other end, you follow Ma'am Sova and Anna. I'll be here. So if you're remaining with me, you will see me. I'm here with you. And let's just begin the process. Thank you so much, and see you at 12:30. Okay, clap for yourself.
So what happened now is there's coffee there. Then once you in that room, you should start. Hello. All right, so we will we will start. Those of us in Port Vila, you can just bring you may take a coffee and you just sit down and guarantee. And the other panel, Blayumi, or the other side law, this will hall. Okay, Bayumi start, yeah? Okat seats blame suppose you sa move cam running by good. All mama sa me move cam for stand lo table, yeah, because panel hemi anaya time Blayumi. And then putum emi table there too so that you putum tiblo yung mo, Fred, and then you may start. And to our friends in the region, welcome to this breakout session. It's titled Storian Blow Business. Storian in Bislama is equivalent to Talanoa. So it's just like having a conversation around business or Talanoa around business. Okay, so, and for this, we'll be looking at it is the introduction to branding and advertisement on social media and how are these as tools, they contribute to enhancing intra-regional and international trade. And so we have with us two very distinguished panelists. First, we'll have Janet Lotowa. She's currently the CEO for Rise Beyond the Reef, that is in Fiji. And then we'll move on to Mr.
We can hear you.
Sorry. Sorry for that technical. Okay, we're good. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so that's that. Then we'll have Darrell Farid in Tuvalu, Talofa, with the Department of Trade. And so once we will start with, we'll start with Janet. And for sake of time, we'll stay with 10 minutes and then we move to Darrell for another 10 minutes. And when talking about branding, I'm reminded of a brief but very succinct definition by Seth Godin. He said that a brand is a promise. So that is simply the definition of a brand. So when a brand is a promise that what you see is what you will get, what you hear is what you will get, what you touch is really what you will get. So definition from, I like that, from Seth Godin. Without further ado, Janet, if you are online, ma'am, you now have the virtual floor for the next 10 minutes. Thank you. Oh, it's Semi. Semi.
Yes,
Hey,
a big bull of
Ratu.
to you all.
Ratu, saan rabina ka?
Nianda Saka, Nianda. He's a
Isa,
big bull from Fiji.
also there, Ratu. I got that wrong. See, that's the importance of a Solomon learning Fijian language. Huh? So, Ratu, sambul binaka, yandra binaka. You now have the floor, binaka. Iyo.
Vinaka, a big bull of Vinaka from Fiji. I bring to you all greetings from our partner communities. And unfortunately, my wife, Janet Lotawa, is traveling, so I had to step in. We're very thankful to be part of this conversation where we will share to each and everyone some of the lesson learned that we have gone through as we try to embark rural and remote women in our communities from the informal sectors, slowly penetrating the formal sector now into the global market. So I have to apologize because my reception here at the farm is not really strong, so I'll have to turn off my video. But just a big bulletin to you all before I turn it off and start with the presentation. So Rise Beyond the Reef is the name of our organization. Janet and I co-founded it, and the focus of this organization, it's funny, as I was listening to the recap, we are being put in a category of the private sector, but actually for us, we are a non-profit organization. And the objective of setting up the organization is to bridge the gap that exists between rural and remote communities and the aid sector, rural and remote communities and the private sector, and also the gap that exists between rural and remote communities and the government sector. Our mission is to help to promote Pacific Island community to rise. Our process, we do that through partnership model that starts with the listening instead of focusing the community on living. Within 2 to 3 years, when grant funds are over, we plan for how long do we stay. We operate through a long-term partnership with a model with our partner communities. We believe remote Pacific communities need ongoing support to address the gaps in operating value and supply chain. So for us, Beyond the Reef, there are communities in the beltways here in the mainland of Viti Levu, but our work only focus in rural and remote communities because that's where they have a struggle in accessing market, access to healthcare, access to those services. So the promise of Rise Beyond the Reef that we will focus our work on those rural and remote communities. The importance of focusing on those communities because they in this day and age of climate change, they face all the challenges in isolation. Too many development strategies are designed with authentic involvement of communities, especially indigenous communities. But we see that there is too many gaps in understanding between the aid sector, government, and remote indigenous community for effective trade to take place. We desperately need to change our organization model and develop an authentic development framework from the ground up for meaningful change and impact to occur in the community. While we focus on those communities, it's also something too that we have to factor in the work that we do, the disaster recovery. In this day and age, especially for our small Pacific Island nation, climate change is real. In Fiji, we've been experiencing the Category 5 cyclone, not only in every 10 years, but it's now becoming in every year. So in addition to all of these things, our specific island communities are in constant cycle of rebuilding, where the generational wealth is being wiped out every 5 to 10 years in megastorm. One of the things too that we had to deal with last year was the pandemic. Because of the work that we do, we focus on rural and remote communities. These communities are always the recipients of government or foreign aid assistance during disaster. But in the pandemic, it changed how the games is played for these communities. When lockdown happened in Fiji, all of the hotels got shut down, all of the flights got grounded. People that were unemployed moved back into those communities. Cities like Suva and Lautoka, they got locked down and they were in quarantine and containment zone. So we had to work really hard on how do we pivot our response into the pandemic response. All of our experience are always in disaster, but we have to dig deep and figure out how do we help each other during this pandemic. And that's when we reached out to our partner communities in rural and remote areas. Whatever was in season, whatever crops was in season was for them to harvest it and supply to those that were in the lockdown and containment areas in Fiji. Because of our position as a nonprofit organization, we reached out to donors to ask them if they can repurpose some of their committed funds to go towards pandemic response effort. We as an organization, we receive 172,000 of aid money, and we supply 172 tons of food, and that benefits over to almost 3,000 households. So those are some of the things that we had to do to restructure ourselves as the market closed down. And an overview of Raspberry on the Reef is all of our products are sold in this tourism sector. All of these hotels in Nandi and outer islands. But when tourism got shut down, we still have our communities. And the only way we can help them earning was we asked them to supply food to those that were in containment and quarantine area. It's also promoting a circular economy. Oftentimes when we receive aid money, we go to these well-established big box retail store to buy things to supply to the community. In the pandemic, it forces us to relook at the way we do those things. Instead of that, we take the money up to the community, we give it to them, they supply the food, communities goes to the nearby shopping centers and buy things, which helps those small business to operate during the dark days of COVID. Also, COVID also forced us to promote other alternatives for our partner communities. As people get laid off from work, they move back into their upper mountain communities. They had to go even further to isolate themselves in their farm. While they were there, we kept on encouraging them to continue the production of the other crops like vanilla and also processing of gluten-free flours of breadfruit and turmeric and also cassava. So those are some of the alternatives that came about during COVID. When I say alternative, these are some of the alternative income. As our border closed down, we had to look into those things, to salvage crops that are in season, to process it, to substitute for flour, and also turmeric for wellness product. Also, as our market got closed down, we had to dig deep and look into e-commerce. We had to rebrand our website. We have to relook at how to penetrate those markets outside of Fiji. 12 airplanes were grounded, but the only plane that was flying was taking product to Australia, New Zealand, and the US. The products that we're supplying are mostly agriculture and also health and wellness. So major trend emerged during COVID, include a huge increase in health and wellness related product, especially plant-based traditional remedies. For us, Here in the west, in Nandi, most of the mountains are covered with lemongrass that just grow over those mountains. So we harvested them and distilled them, where we produce lemongrass oil and hydrosols, a product that was widely needed by the markets overseas. And they were sold in our online and branded it as Fiji. And it was some of the things that came out during COVID. The building of economic resilience of our rural and remote women in Fiji. Since 2013, we have partnered with women leaders and their communities to establish long-term value and supply chain program, investing in village-based women leaders as a key to making things work. For us, Beyond the Reef, our work is focusing on women, and our entry point to any communities we go to is through the women. What we believe, as we say it in Fijian, when women thrive, the community will thrive. So that was the entry point to our work. Then we slowly reach out to the whole member of our community as we establish the relationship and structure that are women-led. Through our branding and marketing, we aim to connect customers and followers with 3 key points. The people who make the product, the makers, their communities, the place where they made and its unique features and values, and the product itself, creating traditional and contemporary product for local and global market. Also, we focus on telling the story from the maker to the market. To those of you who are familiar with our product, in every outlet, local or globally, you will see each of our products. Now that we have penetrated the Australian, the New Zealand, and the US market, earlier this year, we also started to look into global shipping. So we are supplying our product through our e-commerce platform all over the globe. So wherever it may be, you will see a product, our product, it has a tag that goes along with it, which we call it Talanoa tag. In that tag is the story of the maker. Who is behind that product? Where is that product made for? So we always make sure that we maintain that story. In this day and age of copycats or bigger production facilities who can just mass produce our product overnight and produce thousands, we have always said, yes, you can do that. But what differentiates our product from yours doesn't have a story. Ours has a story. So it may be the same hat, but our hat has the story. So that's some of the things that we always focus as we try to position our brand globally and also locally in the local market. Because in the market that we are competing in is very competitive. The slice of the pie is so small that we have to find our niche in that slice. We use the local color, connecting people to place, and the stories of how indigenous community relate to their natural environment and traditional knowledge. Creating product collection that features local color stories that can be important tool in the product development and design process. We invest a lot in product design and development. As a brand, we are continuously evolving. We invest in the product development and design process of an ongoing basis to build artisan capacity and to drive sales to ensure we can offer growing market access to women who we partner with. The global handmade sector is the second largest sector following agriculture in the global south. It's huge, growing industry that offers unique market opportunities for village gate production. In the Pacific, there have been minimal amount of work with product designers representing larger markets. If we want to compete in the global marketplace, we have to continuously invest in this process instead of just relying on selling the same product locally to tourists that we have done for the last 30 to 50 years. One of the things we try to maintain, it's okay to be indigenous in our marketing photos. We notice a major lack of representation in media of communities we work with. Hardly do we find a dark-skinned model or people with natural hair. For us, it's been important for our marketing photos to include people from our partner communities and features that reflect who we serve. You know, always a misconception in the e-commerce. When we started e-commerce, people said, you build it, they will come. But the reality is, in the Pacific, most of us cannot even enter the race of online sales because we cannot access the primary e-commerce platform such as Shopify because of payment gateways limitation. Until we can join some of these major platforms, the band-aid approaches of creating subpar e-commerce site will greatly prohibit the Pacific's participation in the largest opportunity to reach like 8 billion potential customers. That is the global total population. In addition, we have to collectively tackle the high cost of shipping from the Pacific. Until we do those two things, we will always be way behind. To drive sales and traffic to your site, you have to invest in paid ads. If your site is not optimized in terms of modern platform or multiple payment option to shoppers, you will be pouring money down the drain. It's not an easy thing to tackle. We had to do it the hard way. We have to learn it in the hard way, but it can be done. I say it's not easy, just to be realistic on what does it take to go online. What is the reality of e-commerce in the context of the Pacific, where we don't have the luxury of DHL or FedEx and all of those services big companies in overseas have. This year, we expect to surpass $1 million mark in artisan earnings through our program. This is a direct result of taking a market-driven approach paired with a women-led long-term development strategy and an overall willingness to work in the gaps. Thank you. Hello.
Ratu, thank you so much. I have learned a lot just by listening to this.
Yes.
We will.
Sorry. I hope I did not come through as rushing it because I just don't want to extend my welcome in passing 10 minutes.
Ratu, binakabaliw. I could sit in here for the whole day listening to your story because it's really the stories, these kind of stories that add lessons to why we do things. And we will go to the next presenter, then there will be time for question and answer. But my immediate takeaway from this is where women thrive, communities thrive. It's a principle for all of us. Yeah. When women thrive, countries thrive. When women thrive, organizations thrive. When women thrive, the MSG thrive. It's a principle, and I am so amazed. And for branding, 3 things: one, in people who make the product; 2, communities from where the products are made; and 3, the products. I have learned a lot already, but this is some of things. And then the important about where you continue to work on product design. So you continue to work, you continually evolve in the way you design your products in light of awareness about what is happening outside and nationally. With Nakarato. Now we will move to Darryl. Yeah, we will move to Darryl. Then after Darryl, then there'll be question and answers time. Darryl, are you online?
Talofa, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. You now have the floor, Daryl. Thank you.
Talofa, Talofa and Faftailasi for the opportunity. Thank you again for the opportunity to be presenting here this morning. Also thank the presentation from Rise and Beyond, really interesting. And I think that set the platform for this presentation. So I believe I have 10 minutes and I will try and keep to time. So to begin with, I will specifically talk about branding and advertising on social media to enhance intra-regional and international trade. And this is very important because we need to make sure that we showcase our local products here in the islands amongst ourselves and also internationally. And to do that, we need to have good branding, good advertising, and good social media skills as well. So well, my name is Daryl Iqbal. I work for the EIF project here in Tuvalu under the Tuvalu Department of Trade. And through our project, we support and empower our private sector, women included. We help them to understand, to build and communicate their product value through design, and specifically on social media. We've seen the power of social media, which has evolved since the COVID pandemic. More people are now being moving online with their products. So this is just a brief information session, as Jill had mentioned earlier in the earlier during the presentation introduction. Is usually it's a 4-day training that we do this, but we'll try and squeeze this information for us. So 3 things to remember: strategy, design, and comms work. So whenever you have a product you want to develop or a service that you want to provide, you have to think about what's the vision, what's the purpose, where do you see that product going, what's the personality behind the product. And as my other colleague had shared from Rise and Beyond, the story, the brand story, what's the story behind the product. And then you also have to have your customer research, understand your customer base. What do they want? What do they need? What do they value? And then you go on to designing it. Design the brand identity, designing the packaging of your product, and then comes your communications. How will you communicate to your audience, to your customer base about that product? And one platform we always use is social media platforms, which are readily available here in the Pacific. Move on to the next slide. So think about that: your brand strategy, your brand story, value proposition, brand design, and communications. Now you'll notice we highlighted value. Value proposition is very important in any product that you want to brand and advertise on social media. Now, why is value proposition important? If we move on to the next slide, you'll notice this. Why value matters. This is key. A product is only successful if it adds value to someone's life. So that's what we need to keep in mind if you are having a product that you want to develop and sell and get customers on board. You have to make sure that it adds value to that person's life. Next slide. So remember, brand is only successful if it builds value to your customers, if it adds value to your customers, your stakeholders. So you have to think, what do people think about that product? Does it add value? Or you can also come from an emotional angle. What do people feel about the product? Does it add value? Because when you put these things together, then you'll be attracting people to that product that you have designed, that you want to trade or that you want to sell to your customers. So how do you build value? How do you build value into your product? Well, you think about what you are offering, and then you also think about your customers' needs, because it's no use offering something that they might not need. So all of us are in our different sub-regions. All of us know what works in our countries, our region, or what works intra-regionally and internationally. So think about your product that you're offering, and the target audience that you are trying to aim to sell it to. What are their needs? Then you develop and design your product in such a way it attracts them to pursue your product that you are trying to sell. So once you do that, you're moving from strategy to design, and your product is available to the customer's hands. So all of us, all our businesses, I'm sure there's some private sector businesses joining us. Where are you now? There's 4 categories. Is your business or is your product underdeveloped? Are you still trying to understand your product? Are you in a stage where your product is already developing? Or is your product already matured, ready, already earning income for you? So remember, product is king. Equally, value is also king. And to make value, good branding. That's why we say good branding is the kingmaker. You have a good branding, good brand story, it'll add more value to your product. And then also make sure to understand your customers. So from here, we have to think about this. We are all connected: the customer, the cost, the communication, the convenience. Remember, whenever you are thinking about your customer, think about the reasonable cost that you want your customer to have, and also think about the communication materials you're using to ensure that you attract the customer towards your product. I'll give you an example on our next slide. You'll see, I'm not sure if you all know what is a red toddy syrup. A red toddy syrup is common here in Tuvalu, maybe in Kiribati as well. This is like kalevekula, we call it here, red toddy syrup. So most of the red toddy syrup, we get it from the outer islands, we bring it to the mainland, and then most of the businesses fill it in bottles, and then they sell it. Now, this picture, this is what is usually done amongst our private sector. They get a ready toddy syrup, fill it in bottles which are already cleaned, but it's not packaged properly, it's not labeled properly, it's not branded properly. So that's what we need to ensure that we fix, how to go up another scale. So move on to the next slide, and you'll see what we are doing now with the red toddy syrup. Now we have a proper packaging, we have a proper label, and we have, you can say, a story behind it. It says pure coconut syrup. What is it? It's a natural sweetener. And then you'll see it's written there, it's a product of Tuvalu. It's 1 liter. And then you have a little caption which says, what does it say? From pure coconut blossom nectar. So now, if a customer sees that, they will know what is it. Oh, that's red toddy syrup. It's from Tuvalu. It's something sweet that they can use. You are appealing to the customers. Behind the packaging and the labeling, have your story, your brand story. Now, whenever you are advertising or marketing or communicating this on any platform, on social media platform, ensure you have a good brand story. If you look at this picture, you'll see one of the typical Tuvaluan guy making red toddy right there on the coconut tree. I think if you move on to the next slide there. So whatever product you have, make sure you have it is tagged with a good brand story. And if you move on to the next slide, you'll see more pictures that we can use to emphasize the story, highlight where this product is coming from, what is being done to get the final product, are the efforts of our local producers, how far they go to get the product. Because those stories attract people to your product. They see the uniqueness of your product. So when you do your brand story, make sure to include key messages in your story. Seven easy steps you can do this. 7 effective messages are available on our next slide. 1, Make sure your messages are concise. Focus 1 to 2 or 3 key messages, not to make it too wordy. 2, make it very strategic, differentiate, address the benefits. 3, the relevance, what you need to communicate with what your audience needs to know. 4, make it compelling. 5, use simple, easy to understand language. 6, tailored. Understand your audience, tailor your message to attract that audience. And 7, make it memorable. Ensure that messages are easy to recall and repeat. So how do you develop those effective messages? You have to understand who, why, how, and what. Okay? To move on to our next slide. So to develop good communication, you need to know. You need to answer those 4. Who, how, why, how, and what. And then you get those 7 messages in there. And any communications, advertising on social media, creating a story, be clear, be clever, and be heard. That's on our next slide. Keep it simple. Always don't underestimate the power of simplicity. So be clear, be clever, and be heard. We can move on to our next slide. There, be clear, be clever, and be heard. And then describe someone's problems better than they can, and they will think you have the solution. So that's a trick. That's a principle that you can use. Describe someone's problems better than they can, and they will think you have the solution because you want to attract them to your product. You want to attract them to your service. And for you to do that, you have to know who you are dealing with. So if you move on to your next slide, you understand who's your ideal customer. Who are you trying to target? Are you target women, men who are working, or island people, or white collar people? Those think about the different demographics. Think about the different audiences and what product is your product aimed at. Is your product aimed at this audience? Is your product aimed at that audience? That way you'll be able to hone in your product. And some of the topics you can use on social media, some suggested topics. If you go to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah, suggested topics. Whenever you're making posts on social media, don't just stick to like the normal post. You just write a brief description, then you put photos and you tag photos. Then you can try different techniques. Try some how-tos, like how to do this, how to do that. Or you make a post on working behind the scenes. Like if you have, if your product is a basket, locally made basket, try and take some shots of women weaving the baskets and then advertise this on social media. Or if your product is shell necklaces or shell earrings, take some interview some women or some youths who are doing this while they're weaving and post this. That will add more value to your product. Get some testimonials, get some highlight some of the exclusive deals, or also think about ways that that product can add value to the customer. So these are some of the tips that you can use. But remember, the next slide shows you what to avoid when marketing on social media. You move on to our next slide. We need to avoid these things on social media: blurry photos, irrelevant stuff, and too many or not enough posts. When you put photos, high quality photos, and not too blurry. If it's too blurry on social media, people will be put off and they might not want to look at the posts. And also try to make sure that you don't put too much posts on, or too little posts, but just the right amount of posts on social media for your products. Next slide. I always like this situation where you think about the problem, agitate, and solution. Pass. So if you have a product in mind, you develop your social media posts this way. If you move on to the next slide, I'll show you an example. Like one example here. Like an example of a chocolate. So the problem, you can make a post like this, a problem, you put a question. Are you trying to find a unique gift for your girlfriend, for your boyfriend? And then you tell a story. Oh, we know it can be hard to find the perfect thing. That's why we've put together a love box, which not only has top selling chocolates, but also has a customer love note that you can include. Imagine how special she will feel when you turn up with a beautifully gift wrapped chocolate box. And at the end of the post, you put a solution. Like, what are they meant to do? Are they supposed to call you, email you, direct message you, or buy online? So this is just a criteria on what you can do on your post. You put a question, put a story, and you put a solution. But make sure to try and attract that person to your product. Now I want to show some examples of social media here in Tuvalu, which we can all use. So this is one post from Sasita. It's a boutique store, and you see their post. It has a nice simple logo, a good cover photo showing what their business is into, and you'll see it has use of frequently asked questions in an automated response. This is good. So whenever someone visits your page, you should try and enable this option so that you start to get engaged with the customer. You move on to the next slide. Is another good example of the same business, but this time they're using customers. They're using the customers to wear the products that they are buying. So again, use local people within your context to wear the dresses you make, the earrings that you make. So great use of customers' photos. And then you move on to the next slide. Another good example of a social media page. It's called Cocomat. So you might, you move on to the next slide. See, we see here Cocomat. It's another page here in Tuvalu, and cover page, good cover page. It's selling Kandavu grog all the way from Fiji here in Tuvalu, and it has a good logo, a cover photo. It also has a post mentioning a special, like they usually sell local made food here, sushi, spaghetti, whatever. And it has, you see the post, it's very, very short, clear, concise. It has a special message. It has a cutoff time. And if we move on to the next slide, you'll see the different type of pictures you can put into your posts with the key messages. You can have posts which share products. You can have posts showing food and mentioning some specials. And you can also have that option at the bottom of your post where you have that send message part, and try to get your customers engaged, your audience engaged. If they want to contact you, just click on the send message part. So those are just some of examples that we have. And if you move on to the next slide, if you want more information about social media, branding, advertising, those are some very good links that we'll be happy to share, some from PTI Australia, and also from our EIF Comms Connect Capacity Development Series on how social media can boost trade in your country. I do apologize if I had to rush the presentation, but I'm open to any other opportunity if it presents itself, to have focused training on how we can go take your business offline, online, and how to brand your products to be able to market it on social media. Once again, thank you again for the opportunity, and Fafete Laisi.
So much for this. Thank you. Thank you, Darrell. Another exciting, very, it's an intriguing presentation on an area in which we think we know, but we don't. And here, I know they have other questions, but I like this where you say product is king. Then in light of the subject of this symposium, I kind of just slightly amended to say that product is king, value is queen, good branding is their matchmaker. So it's just my kind of amendment. But Darrell, thank you so much. Two very, very intriguing, very powerful presentations on, which means that the tools are there, but we need people to teach us, people who have already gone through this to teach us so that we know how to use the tools. Not having how to use a knife is a very dangerous thing, because then it's a knife, but you can use it for other things. Now, this is where we open for 3 questions, 4 questions, 10 minutes questions. And for those of our friends who are online, you just register your by raising your virtual hand, or those here, and you ask the question simple and straight to the point, and to who you want the question asked to. We give time for 5-10 minutes. Do we have anyone online? Do we have anyone here in Port Vila who you would like to ask a question? Emilia, as you like ask him question, you should ask him lupis lama. You talem kam lumi, by me talem ko lotu holman. Kalau Emilia talem ko tapos you got one question in automatic hard play, talem hard play. Then by me translate yung hard play ko lolman. Do we have any question on a question? Darrell, are you there?
Yes, still here.
Darrell, I have a question. I was listening to your and this product on this coconut natural sweetener. Are there other products in Tuvalu, or is that the only product? Or if there are other products of that kind where you have a natural product that is already there, but then you kind of work with them on packaging, are there other products, Darrell, in Tuvalu?
Thank you, sir, for the question. Yes, yeah. Apart from the red toddy syrup, we also have virgin coconut oil, which we also help in packaging. Apart from, and in addition to that, we have salted fish and breadfruit chips. So we are working on, we already have labels, we already have packaging for these local products. Hopefully soon you can see these in other countries. But what we want to do now is take advantage of the e-commerce platform. So advertising on social media is a form of e-commerce. We call it social e-commerce. But like my colleagues also have mentioned, it's very hard to do e-commerce because of the limited connectivity, payment gateway problems. So when these infrastructures are in place, it'll be very easy or efficient for our private sectors. Advertise their local products, and with the click of a button, you can order, send, and we are already trading intra-regionally and internationally. But those are some of the products we already have here in Tuvalu. Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell. Ratu, are you there? Bulawinaka, Ratu. Oi ko sa chiko?
Yes, I'm here. Nimbula.
Oi, Bulawinaka, Ratu. Ratu, I am smiling a bit because I'm talking here, and people here are smiling that I'm talking in Fijian to you. That's why they must be wondering why this Solomon Islander has his. Ratu, I have a question. With respect to your experiences, Rise Beyond the Reef, of getting women product, handmade sector on e-commerce, what are the challenges that you're seeing? Challenges where our women entrepreneurs around the region and listening could be aware of, and how did you solve, or you slowly solving those challenges? Could you share some of those lessons with our women entrepreneurs, Ratu Binaka?
Unaka, yeah, thank you for the question. Yes, one of the biggest challenge. First, if you have to determine which market you're going to penetrate, that's always the first thing for you to identify. So then once we've done that, then the issue for our community, as we were trying to move into from the informal sector to start to participate in the formal sector here in Fiji, the production capacity, consistency of supply, and the quality. It's always important for us when you are trying to start, is to really understand not only the market, which segment of the market you're going to participate with. For an example, for those of you who are familiar with Fiji, the biggest player in the tourism market here is Tapu's and Jack's. These are the big duty-free stores that you see when you come to Fiji. And for us, when we start to work with the women in our program, we had to figure out in which segment of that market do we participate in. Is it the handicraft or is it the gift section? And that's when we choose the gift section. So the problem was, once we've identified, the first problem we had to face was the consistency of supply from a community. We had to go back and continuously working with the women to make sure that they strengthen that muscles of production. For us, we are not like communities in Southeast Asia where culture of production is there. And also for us in Fiji, we do things as an event. When there's a wedding, we all come together, we do things for the wedding, then after that, it's done. But when we start to sign agreements with those big companies, every 2 weeks we have to deliver our order. So consistency of supply was the biggest challenge. And when we've strengthened that, understanding our market. For us beyond the reef, when we started our production in the community, the market we want to penetrate was the US market. So we bring the product designer from that market that we are trying to penetrate and bring them to the community and train our women how to produce. If it's a mat, then what size of the mat will a customer from the US will buy? And what size of the product, the packaging that the conscious shoppers and ethical buyers of people in the globe will buy. Is it plastic? It has to be reusable item. So that is another challenge that we always have to take it back to the community and make sure that they don't only weave regular mat that we grew up weaving, we have to weave it to the design the market wants. And the e-commerce, when COVID happened, all of those markets got shut down. We had to figure out how do we jump into the e-commerce. As I've mentioned in my presentation, payment gateways. Shopify is what we use. And when you type Fiji in Shopify, they don't recognize Fiji as a country that they can work with. And that becomes a problem for people that are trying to buy your product online. When you don't have a reliable payment system, it can quickly be labeled as a fraud or as something that is not credible enough to buy online from. And also the shipping. When we try to ship with our local post office, there's no way customers can track their product. So we had to jump into DHL to make sure that we are credible, so that when they pick up their product, it gets scanned, email is sent automatically that your product has been picked up at the rest beyond the reef. So those are some of the challenges. For just to recap, for the production capacity in the community, it will take years to train this community. So for us, we don't build sweatshop, but we build community of production. So different tikinas, different districts, they have different product, and many villages are producing that product. but it takes time to develop that muscles of consistency of production. And understanding the market, that's where we engage the product designer, a market that we are trying to penetrate, to come and help us design our products so it aligns into that. Then also the future trend of that market. Where are they heading in terms of the color? So those are the things that we always have to be open to adjust ourselves. I think that's how I would respond to that question, Ratu.
Ratu Vinaka, this is really it's a subject we must ensure that we bring you, Ratu and Darrell, to Port Villa for more conversation. Exciting the way you create communities of production, the way you have to choose not just talking about the market, but to say which sector of the market do you want to target, whether it's handicraft or gifts, and which specific market. In the case, you said US market, and so you find someone who can work with you to access that market. These are important information. In not knowing what sector of the market you want, you will not know what to do. Yeah, most of the time we just as if you want to get somewhere, not knowing where you want to go. Yeah, and so these are very important. Ratu and Darrell, thank you so much for this. Please, so all of us show our appreciation to Darrell and our Ratu and Fiji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we will move to the other panel of our Storian business session. We have, I think, our two friends who are from Fiji, Nehameta. We have Miss Taylor, the Market Vendor Association in PNG, and we have here in Port Villa, Leanne, a advisor, an entrepreneur in perfume herself here, and VCCI. Now I know where her shop is, so I'll drop by to ask for discounts. But so that's the next one here, and so again, please show our appreciation to our two Darrell and give really loud claps so that we. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. I was advised. I was advised that I think if Neha is online, for her to first made a presentation just with UNCDF in Suva, and so let's just double check. Neha, are you online? No. Okay. We let us check if Miss Taylor in Papua New Guinea. Video 4. Also, video first. Then we. Okay, so hello. I was just advised we're going to have a video presentation on business enterprise, and then we will start with. We'll move on to Leanne, who's here with us in Port Villa. So, Nettie. Okay, sorry. We are having a minor technical issue. So we'll start with Leanne Saket. She is here in Port Vila. She has an amazing perfume business in Port Vila. They are offering discounts this month. So let us all go and have a queue in front of her. But amazing entrepreneur. She's a legal scholar. And so used to be with USP, but now an entrepreneur in her own right, and also advising Vanuatu Chamber of Commerce on the areas of legal, business, and so forth. So we'll have the floor for.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's really a privilege to sit up here and speak to you all. I haven't really come super prepared with what to start off talking about. I think also when Storian blue business, by me Storian no more. So by me giving one English, sorry. So I'll give a small background to myself. I came to Vanuatu from Sydney in 2012. I went and lived on Ambram Island for 3 years. I worked with the Council of Chiefs, the Maumemeli, one governance advisor. It was a fantastic time. After 3 years on Ambram, I couldn't go back to Australia anymore. It was like a different world. I was happy with the world I was living in here. And I found a job at USP teaching, also a law lecturer at USP. So professionally, I'm trained as a lawyer. In between going from Ambram to USP, I traveled to Europe. And while I was on Ambram, sorry, I'll take a step back. While I was on Ambram, I spent a lot of time out in the bush, you know, going to the garden and making my garden, walking around between villages. There was a lot of walking around, but I came from a big city where it's mostly cement, right? And then all of a sudden I'm out in the bush, I'm learning about all the different plants, different flowers, how to scratch coconuts, make coconut oil soap, trying to figure out how to make coconut oil soap smell nice when we have kind of limited flowers and things that smell nice on Ambram, right? So putting woods or whatever else we could find to infuse it. Anyway, so I played around a little bit there, started working with some of the mamas on how to make coconut oil soaps as well. And when I went to Europe on a holiday, I went traveling around and I realized that every place had their own perfumery. And in those perfumeries, they would use their own oils or different smells like woods or flowers or whatever they had, those botanicals that they had within that region to create their own unique fragrances. And they were nice. I smelled many, many, many of them. But I was thinking about Ambram at the same time and Vanuatu. And I'm like, man, if one of us did it here, anywhere in the Pacific, it would kill all these other perfumes in Europe. It'd be so much nicer. You know? And so that was the seed of that idea. And when I was there, I think either through pure luck or the big man's plan, I started being introduced to people that were working in that area. And I started building a small network of people with experience in perfumery. And they made this crazy idea seem possible. Like, actually, if you just do this, this is how we did it, you know, sharing their experiences made me think that even though I'm a lawyer, I don't know anything about perfumery. I don't even know how to make oils other than coconut oil. I'm going to try starting a perfumery business, right? And so I did it. And I was still working at USP. I used my salary. I sacrificed over half of my salary each month to go towards building my business and created 2 fragrances. Went around to the retailers, hustled, really, went face to face, asking them, would you be willing to try out our product? Will you give feedback if you don't want to try out our product? It was varied. Some were really supportive. Some were like, no, it's too expensive for a local Vanuatu product, which I found very disappointing, of course. And then from there, it just kept selling to retailers slowly. After that first year of luck, things started to get more difficult. Business became real. And all of a sudden, I realized my own limitations on running a business. I wasn't a business person. I didn't have confidence that I was making the right decisions as a business person. I can read all the laws to you of Vanuatu, but when it comes to managing a spreadsheet of finances, Mimi white page. Like, I didn't know how to do it. So this is where, again, networks and talking with other women, talking with other business owners, trying to learn about how they did it, and really became important. there was a really fantastic program that was run through the Chamber of Commerce. So even though I'm an advisor there, I use their services, also one business person all the time as well. And it was mentoring and life coaching. And through those services, I felt like I was getting the sort of support that I needed to start building up that confidence to tackle those challenges that felt like they were insurmountable at the time. They were too hard. Like I'm a hack, you know, I didn't feel like I belonged in the space of business as well. And each day I'm slowly starting to get over them now. During COVID, we opened up our first shop. I saw it as an opportunity to find a vacant retail space. The rent was cheap because it was during COVID, but why not give it a try? It worked. We were very lucky. We now opened up our second shop again, just as somebody else moved out before COVID finished. We now have 2 shops. And this year we're planning to export to Australia. So I'm an IME background. That's my background around business. Slowly starting to grow. I'm not winning everything yet, but it's a work in progress. I've been working on this for 5 years now. Still continue to sacrifice my salary to build up that business. So it's a long-term commitment. And you know, the challenges are real. You've got to balance family life, children, husbands, other jobs, business as well. But I have a fantastic, really great team of women behind me. My whole team of women. And it creates a really wonderful environment because we understand we have many common challenges, you know, managing work, house life, family life, outside interests, confidence a lot of the time to be where we are. And so slowly we're building up. So I just want to say, like, when I was asked to speak here today, I was a little bit hesitant about speaking. I thought, am I really representative of women in business in Vanuatu? You know, I've only been here for 10 years. I'm not ethnically Melanesian, but as I started thinking a little bit more around what the focus of this panel was, it was women in business and export. There was an export focus on it as well. And I thought about all of the women that are involved in export in Vanuatu at the moment. And it occurred to me that actually, when it comes to women in business exporting in Vanuatu, I am representative of the women that are currently exporting. And the commonality that I have, the reason I'm representative of that is because all of us have connections to export markets, whether it be the fact that we've been born there, we're raised there, we went to school there, we've lived there, or we have close family members that are from export markets that we're targeting. And what that does is break down the barriers and understanding around, you know, our familiarity with those export markets, which I think if they weren't there, I would not have the confidence to start thinking about exporting. I would not have the familiarity with that export market to say, okay, no, I have confidence that my product can make it over there. I know the networks. I know I can find the networks. I need to start building up an export market over there. And so from that perspective, I think it highlights some of the gaps that we have here for really engaging women, the wider, you know, collection of women in business in Vanuatu in export markets and getting to that export market stage. So I think I'll stop there for now. Otherwise, I can really Storian. My husband says I'm like Radio Vanuatu and we'll be here until too dark if I keep talking. But I'll let the other panelists speak and wait for question time to talk again.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Thank you so much for this. So here we see what I've just learned now is women in export, who are exporting. There's a lot of time we just talk about importing and exporting goods, not really locating as women who do exports. Yeah. And so do we have our other 2 panelists online, Ms. Taylor and Ms. Neha?
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning from Papua New Guinea.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Morning through. Is this Miss Taylor?
Yes, yes.
Hey, Owanto, good pla morning through from me playa lo Port Villa. Now, yeah. Now, just briefly, Miss Taylor is the CEO for this amazing association of women vendors in Papua New Guinea. Miss Taylor, you now have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. My topic will be basically on Mount Hagen and trading within Western Highlands. I'll be basically talking about trading and marketing. And my introduction will be, I will be giving some background story on how the market in PNG operating. But I will be specifically talking mostly on Hagen market alone, on the experience and knowledge about trade, finance, and market preparedness. Hagen market is the largest in the entire country. Highlands are the vegetable and food basket of Papua New Guinea. And this is the place where others is for sale and trade. There are two types of informal satellite markets in Mount Hagen, which supplies fresh vegetables, operating as wholesale. The supplies of the organic food come from the 4 districts of Western Island, and it comes in all different varieties of fruits and vegetables in bulk. Most of the trade is with the nearby Upper Highlands and Lower Highlands of Papua New Guinea. These are the provinces linking into the heart of Western Highlands province. The Upper Highlands like Tenga, Hela, and Southern Highlands traveling to Mount Hagen to buy garden food to resell in their respective province market in a way of trading within Western Highlands. And for the lower highlands of Papua New Guinea, which is Simbu and Eastern Highlands province, supply Hagen market with bulk onions with other markets in the country. In trade finance and market preparedness, most of our women vendors get their seed capital or source of funding is from their husband. Those women need only the finance to purchase their seed for farming because they are the core owner under their husband, which they then create garden for farming. But for those who are not married and divorced are mostly depending on baking and showing to sustain their living. For their capacity building and financial capital, also the partnership with UN Women, we were also fortunate enough to train on financial literacy training, which helps us to understand to manage money and in way to understand how to trade, how to source funding and branding on our products within our own market. Also with financial training, literacy training, women vendors now participating in government SME and microbanking. Some of them are now owning small shops with they're doing cafe and also doing baking food to supply schools for their lunch and so on. For market networking and trading, going forward for the Hagen Market Women Vendors Association, we build our market. We built or made the network connections with the NCDC, which is the capital for Papua New Guinea Port Moresby, to supply food to all NCDC markets and plan also to look at supplying food across the other markets with the network that we have with other management through the support of UN Women. By linking markets and trade, it will help our women vendors to find their market for their particular product, and also it will empower them to participate formally in the formal economy. To leave you all with this, trade is very important in markets of PNG and other Pacific Islands. We need to empower women and youth by trading through agriculture. In this way, trade is essential to save lives and livelihood of those women and youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We will have time for question and answers later on to the panelists. Now we have a final one, Ms. Neha Mehta. Is she online? No. Okay. So we will. So we will move to. We have time for question and answers. We have Ms. Taylor in Papua New Guinea and Leanne, who's here in Port Vila. if you have any questions for them, we can take 2 or 3 questions. And the usual practice, those who are virtual online, to register your questions with a virtual raising of your hand. And those here in Port Vila, if you'd like to ask a question, you're always welcome to do so. And Miss Taylor, are you there?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. We have a question here from VCCI.
One, two, three. Hold on. Test.
Test. Okay. Thank you, Chairman. It was very interesting to listen to our 2 panelists talking about trade finance, market preparedness. For our businesswomen in Vanuatu, I was wondering if you would be able to give me some hints in terms of how or what approach can we adopt, or what measures or actions can we design, plan, and implement to increase the number of female exporters in Vanuatu? I think what I would like to know is what support eventually women in business in Vanuatu would need to be provided to be able to export their products overseas. So maybe I would like to hear from you, your feedback and the challenges. And I'm asking for what solutions can we come up with to really help our women in businesses to be able to export. Thank you.
Now that's a question for both. What are your observations on that? I will start with Ms. Taylor. If you have observations on that, then we come to Leanne.
Okay. I would for the challenges that now we are facing about trading is about how the challenges that we're facing is most of our women are not that educated, and they are in the market for their lifetime. Some they in the market for 30 years, 20 years, and what we are now looking at is UN Women is in helping in our 40 women members of the association by empowering them and educating them more on how to do trade in our own region and market. Sorry if I didn't get your questions right, so answering you right, I'm sorry for that.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for that observation. Leanne.
Thank you. So I'm not really on top of all of the challenges that all women face. I can only speak of my own experiences and the challenges that I've had getting market ready and market preparedness. And I imagine these are common challenges for all businesses. So some of the main challenges that I've had were very much covered a lot by in our previous session with our speaker from Fiji, that Rise to Reef. Did I get it right? Rise to Reef. So, I was operating the business for 4 years before I actually started working with an external branding agency. And the business that I built is very much built around a brand. And when I started thinking about exporting to Australia, I thought, well, we started trying to export to Australia 2 years ago. We have online sales, but the only way we can operate our online sales is through a Shopify website that is open through an Australian account. It's impossible for us to do it here in Vanuatu. So once again, that background of being from Australia has facilitated that connection to be able to run an online website to be able to sell our products. But that's not the only hurdle. The other hurdle is then actually getting the products to Australia. When sending one box, one order, if say, for example, it's one of our coconut oils, which is 2,500 Vatu, equivalent of 50 Fiji dollars or around 30 Australian dollars. Okay, so if we want to send one of those, we have an order for one and we want to send it to Australia, it's going to cost us over 30 Australian dollars, over 3,000 Vatu for the postage alone. So that means automatically we're actually paying money to sell our products overseas, not making money. We're losing money to send our products overseas. So what we've come up with for our business to get past that hurdle is actually having to send stock in bulk, ship it over to Australia, have it positioned in Australia so that when people order things online, then they can get it within a couple of days, which is what the market expects in Australia. They don't want to wait 6 weeks for us to send something via the post that may or may not show up. And then it also means that there will be there's an expected reduced cost in shipping as well, so that we can make some money off the products. So I've thought about this a lot for other businesses as well. And there is I think there would be some value in, first of all, making sure that other brands or other businesses have access to that same kind of support, identifying how to build a brand, identifying what the needs of the export market is, what sort of supply chain you can, what sort of supply you can actually provide, like how consistent is your supply? Can you say, for example, your product takes off and you're able to sell 10,000 pieces, within the first month? Do you have 10,000 pieces to sell? Or are you going to be able to consistently provide 10,000 pieces? So this then all impacts on where we can market to, which retailers we can buy. And some of the challenges that I've had involved in this progress has actually been working with some of the regional organizations that are intending to support trade. And in fact, provide some advice sometimes that is detrimental to the business, like just get your foot in the door, just get out there, just try something. But yeah, we try, but we're trying blind. And because we're trying blind, not having an exact target market in mind, we're spending resources and investment money that we don't have to waste. And we're targeting the wrong places. And so after years of trying to export online, trying to figure out how we can price our products to cover some of that shipping fees, we've now had to redo it all. And it's only through that external assistance of somebody that knows the Australian market, knows how to market, knows what the target market is, knows where there is a value to be added to certain products and which products are going to work how, are we now feeling confident to actually invest in sending thousands of bottles at one time overseas in the blind hope that it's going to sell. You see, so I think having that external help helps a lot, but the right people that actually know business in the export markets. Also, the potential of consolidating shipments to get them to Australia. So if I've often thought that if I'm doing this, perhaps I can help other businesses that are trying to achieve the same goals. There would be cost savings in us saving our shipments over together, because you have to pay for a minimum 1 cubic meter to send something. So if I'm only filling up half a cubic meter, I'm still paying 1 cubic meter. So why don't I try and fill that up with somebody else's stuff if they're trying to get over, and then we share the cost. It ends up being half the cost for me. How about, like online payment gateways or online shops that can support multiple brands or multiple businesses trying to achieve the same thing as well. So those are just some ideas. I'm not sure if they're the best solutions, but they're things that I've thought about and are based on my own experiences.
Thank you so much, Leon. In talking about support, if I could just ask for your observations, in how and where do you think, let me start by saying, is there a need for government intervention on the subject of trade finance, market preparedness? And how would you, in your experience, think that should look like? Ms. Taylor, if you respond first, and then we have Leanne.
Yes, we truly need government input in this trade because it will help our women in trading food from the provinces. And government needs to play a big part in this. For now, for example, for Papua New Guinea, we are now getting support from the NGOs like UN Women. They are helping our women. And the more need is from our government. Our government is not helping to find markets for our women back in the provinces. And I would emphasize more that government needs to be in to help in trading and marketing for our women back in the province.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Leanne.
Okay, so there's two aspects to this, finance, and the other one is market preparedness. On the side of finance, yes, there's definitely a lot more that the government could be doing for my own business. I'm able to start it because I had a second income. Sorry, not a primary income. It's still my primary income. That's the only reason I'm able to get capital to start a business. It comes at huge personal sacrifice. It's like getting loans from banks with the interest rates make it almost impossible to make a profit out of a business. When you've got interest rates up at 18, 19% sometimes, how can you expect to make profits and still have enough money to live if that much interest is going to the banks? And then also just being able to access those loans to the banks is incredibly difficult. My primary income now is once I left USP, I wasn't on a salary anymore. I became a consultant. I have no regular income. I get paid per project. And so trying to demonstrate to the bank that I have ongoing income that I'll be able to pay back a loan in 5 years' time is impossible. So I'm not even eligible to take out loans from the bank, regardless of what my income is. And so what happens there is that, first of all, the income that is coming from that primary source of income is coming from a job that is being prioritized because that's my livelihood, that pays my rent, my home, my food, my kids' school fees. But it's at the sacrifice of the business that I'm trying to build. And so progress is very small, very slow. So what could the government do in this way? Facilitate loans to women or microfinance or other ways where women can get investment for their businesses. Again, one of the ideas that I've had, and we've been talking at the chamber about this a lot, is setting up a women in business committee, or there's already a women in business network that's there. Let's capitalize on that network and see how women that are further along their path and have had successes from women can support other women in getting to that same place as well, whether it be angel investments or collective investments, vetting business plans to see how viable they are and giving feedback perhaps where they're not, making sure that the profits can be made out of their ventures so you're not wasting your time and getting that disappointment at the end of putting in all this hard work over years and years and years for no return. So on the side of finance, I think there's some of the possibilities. Market preparedness. One of the big challenges I'm having at the moment is becoming compliant with the regulations for my export market. And this was discussed in the previous panel, like understanding what do I need to write on my packaging? What documentation do I need to send? Which agency am I supposed to be working with in Australia? And how on earth did I reach them? I mean, I have the resources to be able to call Australia at however much it is per minute to make that telephone call. But women with smaller businesses might not be able to do that or have the confidence to talk to some random government officer that they've never met in some big official institution in Australia to simply ask the question, what am I supposed to put in my packaging, or what are the requirements around this? You can jump online and have a look, but you'll be searching around endlessly for at least a day to try to figure out what the information is and then which one is relevant, which one's current, and then try to make sense of it all as well. And this is coming from, these are my experiences with all of my legal education. I can read black and white really well now, you know? So if it's that incomprehensible to someone with my level of education, what about all of the other women that haven't had the privilege of going to university for 10 years to be able to understand that, right? So I think, you know, one of the things I would personally love is to get a couple of those people from those government agencies like that regulate the stuff, come over here and explain it to us. They'd love the trip over here. It'd be like a holiday for them, right? And at the same time, it benefits us. I know the chamber does stuff like this sometimes. Perhaps PTI could be involved, but connecting them to us, like the actual people that make those decisions in Australia or regulate them in Australia would be really helpful. And this is just talking about the Australian market. Whether it's viable or not, I'm not really sure. But get somebody to give us, or perhaps even distributors overseas, get them to come over or go on like an adventure. Well, I would love for them to send all of us on an adventure over to Australia on a big holiday to go market research and shopping for a whole month straight, you know, with the funds to support that, because that gives a fantastic insight into that market and what's going to work there. And it expands our imagination to see what is possible without that. You know, what are we creating and for who? We know our local market, but market preparedness for export markets is another thing. So yeah, I think building those networks, connections, connecting us to the right people that can actually help would be really useful.
Thank you so much, Leanne and Miss Taylor. That should conclude this another exciting presentation. I have learned a lot. I was just writing down here, Women in Business Subcommittee at the MSG. Well, it's just from listening on this, and I was putting my thoughts down. But those who are with us online, those in Port Vila, please put your hand together for let us show our appreciation to Miss Taylor and Leanne. There we go. Thank you so much. Now here we have the final one. According to our program, we have the final Storian Blue Business, which is market preparedness and standards. And here we have representative from biosecurity, from Plus, Solomon Chamber of Commerce, Papua New Guinea Chamber of Commerce, Women Entrepreneurship and Business Council, and an export consultant in organic certification space. Now, I don't know how we go about the order of, but I think we'll just go with, do we have Dion Palu online?
Yes, can you hear me? Dion here.
Okay, we move on to, do we have a representative from the Women Entrepreneurs Business Council? Do we have anyone online from the Women Entrepreneurs and Business Council? Seems as if we
yes,
don't.
Good morning.
We have.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello?
John Palu, are you online?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. So we will start. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. John Palu, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time this morning. My name is Dion Palu. I'm based in Port Vila. I've been assisting a few of our exporters and businesses over the past few years to get export ready in terms of standards. So we've done work in Tonga, in Fiji, New Caledonia, and of course Vanuatu. So I've got a short presentation to share with you this morning in terms of how standards can assist Pacific Island businesses to access export markets. So I'm going to share my my slides with you now, if I can. Okay, so can you see the first slide there? Yes. Can someone give me an indication that it's showing?
Yeah, we've seen the slide. I think they cover.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes. So standards. In terms of standards, these are your trade or technical barriers to trade, or TBTs, as per the WTO, and these specifically fall under the sanitary and phytosanitary measures, or your SPSs. In the past, a lot of Pacific Islands businesses have struggled to meet these SPSs, especially the sanitary standards, because you could have a well-made product out of the Pacific, and it's safe. It's made out of organic material, and it's the best tasting manioc flour you may have. I did speak to one person who tried to export his manioc flour in 2017. And the buyer tested it. It was perfect. It was safe. It was all that they wanted. It had the best, the packaging and all that, but it didn't have a HACCP certificate with it. So they couldn't put it on the shelves. And that was in 2017. So I'd like to explain and go through a few of the challenges and solutions on how you can overcome this trade impediment of sanitary standards and to a lesser degree phytosanitary standards. Experience from previous clients where they've been certified to international standards, they realized their dreams of financial independence, where their access to the market was such that they could not keep up with the market. The demand was such that they had to expand their businesses. So I spoke to one in Tonga, and he's living his dreams because he's managed to meet the standards and expanded his business. A quote I like to for us to ponder from Ecclesiastes 9:10: "Whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might." This is where, if you start a business, and what I see from Pacific Island businesses is that they start to be what they call also ran. But for you to exceed and be successful, you have to be in the top 5%. And to do that, you have to give it all your might. Another quote I'd like to quote from Les Brown is, "To be successful, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have." So in 2005, I assisted a business in Tonga where they wanted to export to New Zealand and meet international standards. We did that together with them, and they were able to secure a large order and a large client out of New Zealand. And he started off as one person, him and his wife, and 5 other workers. And in 2013, I would say, the number of staff he had was 300. He had 300 staff. Not many Pacific Island businesses can claim that to have 300 staff and to be in 3 different countries. So he expanded his business from Tonga, an office in Samoa, and an office in Auckland. So in operating out of 3 countries. And the key to that was him meeting international standards. Back in Vanuatu in 2018, we assisted a local cocoa producer out in Stella Marie. So she gets all her cocoa from all the different islands, several islands in Santo and Malo and Malikula, and she produces chocolate, dark chocolate. And in 2018, we helped her to achieve HACCP certification, which is your sanitary standard, to be able to put her chocolates on the P&O cruise ships. So P&O would not accept any food from Vanuatu unless that supplier had HACCP certification. I just got a message from her this morning, and I'm not sure whether you're aware of this businesswoman. So she confirms that P&O will be taking their chocolates back again when the cruise ships come back to Vanuatu. Prior to that, in 2016, we helped a water bottling company to put their water bottles on the cruise ships. And again, the cruise ships, B&O and Carnival, would not accept these local products unless they meet the international standards of having a hazard certificate. And this particular businesswoman, she is tenacious. When I worked with her to get her business certified, she had the drive and burning desire with her, about her, to ensure that she would get this standard. And she is maintaining that standard up to this day, which is why P&O are taking her chocolates in October, I would say, when the cruise ships return. I'd like to put a question to the participants. If you can, in the chat box, put in what challenges are you facing with standards, so that in my presentation I can cater or customize my answers to what's in your what issues you'd like some answers to during this short time that we have together. So if you can put it in the chat, and I'll have a look. But I'll move on. On cosmetics, we also help a local business here in Vanuatu achieve certification for their cosmetics. That's GMP ISO 22716. And that's a certification that allows them to really access the international market, including cruise ships. The reason why I've got the cosmetics there. Now, again, it is a trade impediment. A trade impediment that when I spoke to the Trade Commissioner in New Zealand for PTI, she mentioned to me last week, that local Pacific Island businesses are still finding it an issue or a challenge to obtain a third-party certification, your sanitary measures that would allow them to access the formal market or the commercial markets. So I put here an export pathway, just a simple one, to show how, as a customer, starting from the left, you need to talk to your customer best. For example, if you want to export to New Zealand, now the borders are open, get on a flight, go over there and talk to your customers. Ask them what exactly do they need in terms of the sanitary certification. Speaking to the large commercial buyers in New Zealand and Australia, they've given Pacific Islands the HACCP certification. So what they've said is they're happy to accept products from Pacific Islands if they have HACCP certification. But you need to confirm that from your supplier or your potential customer. Then number two, in the middle, you come back to whatever Pacific Island you are in and create that product, produce that product, whether it's taro, manioc flour, jam, or what have you, in accordance with those sanitary certification requirements. At the same time, your customer will give you quality specifications. This is something we help with our clients, is that not only do the customers need your product to be safe, it needs to meet their quality standards. So that when you're producing it, yes, you tick two boxes, both the safety and the quality. The quality is very important. And then, of course, you have to, on the export side, make sure that you meet your phytosanitary requirements of your national plant protection agency or biosecurity authority, as well as, of course, the import phytosanitary requirements. For New Zealand, it's the IHS, and in Australia, it's BICOM. So we've assisted customers to be, in terms of phytosanitary requirements, it's quite a clear-cut thing. Whereas in terms of HACCP and sanitary certifications, that's where because depending on the product, you would need to custom tailor your food safety program to whatever product you have. At the same time, it's not only produce that need certification. There's other products, for example, cosmetics and other products that use that can be certified under ISO. We also assist with that requirements. Just quickly on HACCP certification, it provides improved market access. That's just a photo of our abattoir here in Vanuatu. This abattoir is called Vanuatu Abattoirs Limited. They have their own cattle, and the abattoir is supplied by the owners of the abattoir's own farms, processed, and we export to PNG. Sorry, they export to PNG, as well as Australia and New Zealand. Yes, Vanuatu beef does reach New Zealand. A few people are not aware of that, but in early last year, they approached us to see if they can obtain HACCP certification so that they can also export to Asia. So we achieved that in June this year. And how we did that was we came in and improved the systems, trained the staff, did a few improvements to their facilities, and got them past the audits, certification audits. So they are very, they were over the moon to get the certificate, because this abattoir had been operating for nearly 50 years with the systems that they had, but they hadn't been formally certified under HACCP standards. Organic certification, yes, more people are buying more organic, and because of their health and making sure that they, you know, their food do not contain your pesticides, fungicides, and herbicides, and all the synthetic inputs that commercial and conventional farming uses. So organic certification is another standard that can get higher prices for exporters who require who deal with organic buyers and organic customers. So next week we're doing an organic audit here in Vila for a customer of ours that can only supply their customer needs them to have organic certification. If they don't have it, their customer goes away. So it's a matter of survival for these people to make sure that they are certified under organic certification. So that's a service we also provide. We do organic certification audits based here in Vanuatu. Okay, quickly going into the benefits of standards and certification. You have increased sales. Speaking to one of our kava exporter who had recently received certification under HACCP, they would move a few kilos in a month. After being certified, a large commercial customer in the US had placed up to 10 times more. That's 10 times more of what they used to sell. So imagine that you export, let's say 1,000 kilos, times 10, 1,000, that's what they got. So you can achieve a tremendous growth by being certified, and obviously affect your bottom line, because you then qualify as a preferred supplier to commercial clients. Commercial clients won't touch you if you're not certified. So by being certified under HACCP standards, for example, you create a new customer, your commercial customers, and you keep those customers as long as you keep your certificate valid. Next, higher prices. Where customers in the past or suppliers in the past have gone to middlemen to reach commercial buyers, once you are certified under standards, international standards, you then qualify to go directly to the buyers. So you cut out your middleman. So that means the price that you receive and the price that you pay your growers or your suppliers or your farmers is better. And I don't think anyone can complain with that, except for, of course, for the middlemen. Okay, higher prices. So there you go. You cut out the middlemen. We dealt with a few exporters who gone through middlemen, and of course the middleman has his cut. But once they are certified and are approved under the commercial buyers approved supplier program, they can go directly to the buyers. And I've spoken to some commercial buyers overseas, and they said they're starting to go directly to the buyers because they want to manage the margins better rather than going through wholesalers and bulk importers. So again, higher prices. Another benefit of standards is assured payment. In the past, we've dealt with people exporting and it's going to their family, their aunties, their uncles, their friends, Tawi, Wanto. And of course, payments. When it's time to receive your payments, you have to start chasing these people down. So I'm not sure whether you can put up your hands and say, yes, you dealt with that in the past, but where you start dealing with formal commercial markets, payment is assured. You send them your invoice, they send you your bank transfer. You don't have to go chasing after commercial buyers. They have a reputation to upkeep, and especially the big supermarkets, the Countdowns, Woolworths, and the large commercial supermarkets overseas, especially in New Zealand and Australia. So again, standards gives you the benefits of having or your peace of mind that when you send your product, that you will get paid, and normally it's on time, rather than you having to catch the flight and go over to Auckland and start chasing people down, if you know what I mean. Okay, systematize. Where you standardize your business, where we come in and make sure that you have systems that are documented. Those systems will eventually let your business run on autopilot. What I mean by that is for the key processes that keeps your business going, where you document them down as standard operating procedures or flow charts, it gives consistency to the delivery of your products. So whether it allows the business owner to let the supervisors run the business without much intervention. And I've got a lot of response and feedback from our clients in the past where they said, hey, I thought this HACCP certificate was just to be on the wall so that I can export to commercial markets. I didn't realize that it would reduce our waste. It would make our processes more efficient, that I could take more time and spend more time with my family rather than being at the business each and every day. So I put there at the bottom of systematize, more time for family. I've met a lot of exhausted and tired businessmen because they're at the business from 6 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon. We have to balance our lives, of course. There's family, but where your life balance is all about the work and the business, it's going to affect you, obviously. So what we found with our clients in the Pacific is that where they have documented procedures that staff can follow day in and day out, they don't have to call the manager, hey boss, how do I do this? How do I do that? Especially when you have new staff coming in. All that organizational knowledge is documented. It's in there. It's in the HACCP food safety program. They can just read and follow. You just have to come in and monitor on a regular basis and supervise, not as much as before. So what the pleasant feedback I'm getting from business owners is that, hey, I have more time now to take a holiday. I have more time for my family. Who here doesn't want that? So another benefit of adopting international standards is that you can systematize your business. Another thing is, again, this is from feedback from business men and women who adopted international standards and documented their procedures and have a consistent quality product, is that they find their staff morale increases. And then, okay, how does it happen? Simple. With standards, you have to make sure your staff are trained, that they are competent in what they're doing, that they have clear SOPs to follow, they have clarity. So they come in the morning, clock in, they know exactly what their responsibilities are. They get the job done, and they have the systems there that allow them to do a good job. We don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, today I'm going to make 10 mistakes. No, people generally go to work to do a good job. It's the systems that supports and surrounds and assist that worker that you need to have in place, so that day in and day out, the quality, the consistency of your product is such that it's safe and it's of a quality standard, and it meets both sanitary and phytosanitary requirements. So again, another good reason why you should consider international standards. Okay, enough about benefits. You might want to know how to get certified. And to be certified under HACCP, for example, even the same as ISO and organic, the steps are, of course, you need to know what your customer requirements are. Then you get support. There are businesses who can get themselves ready on their own. And there are some, I have found in my experience, is that most will need support, where people like the Chamber, the SPC, donors, AusAid, Business Link Pacific, there's a lot of, NZ support groups that can assist you as a business owner, Pacific-based business owner, to obtain standards and certification. So we, at the moment, we are contracted with Vanuatu Chamber of Commerce, where we go in and assist several Vanuatu-based businesses to get certified. So I'm actually talking from Santo, where I've just finished visiting a few of our clients here to get them ready for the audits in October. So again, in terms of your facility, this is one of the biggest challenges for Pacific-based island, Pacific-based businesses, is making sure that their facilities meet the international standards for the certification of their facility. So this is where we go in and recommend to them, okay, we need to replace your door, wooden door, with a door that's easily cleaned. We have to cover your lights with all those things in terms of your facility. You have to have drainage and all those sort of things. That's where we come in and make sure that they meet it. Then we document their procedures, like I said, documented procedures, and then we train their staff. Once they're ready with all those systems in place, then we get an auditor, either from New Zealand or Australia, to come in and audit. Now that the borders are open, I've spoken to some of the certifying bodies that we deal with. They can send auditors now, but at the same time, they can also do remote audits. That's using Zoom and WhatsApp or whatever platform that is suitable for the location. So oftentimes we have to check whether the internet connection is working, is sufficient enough for the remote audit to be done, and so that the audit can go ahead. But I've spoken, like I said, it's possible for you to say, no, I'd rather have you send an auditor to Fiji or Vanuatu or PNG. But obviously, if you do that, you'll have to pay for the airfare and accommodation and additional costs. So I would recommend talking to your certifying body and suggesting a remote audit instead. That will not cost as much as an on-site audit. Once you get past the audits, They give you a certain number of findings. You close your findings, and once you close your findings, you get your certificate, your HACCP certificate, or your organic certification, or your ISO certificate. And that's the certificate that your commercial buyers will recognize and then open the door for you to sell in larger amounts. Once you get certified, you then are able to market your achievements. So normally the certifying bodies would send you a logo or a mark, a HACCP mark or HACCP logo that you can put on your promotional material. So you can put it on your business card, on your website, on your invoices, on your receipts, on your brochures, and that allows you to market your status as a business that meets international standards. How are we for time? Okay. Now, in terms of success, I would like to think or put forward that success is like the ocean. You go to the ocean, and it's up to you how much of it you want. A famous person had said that you go to the ocean, you don't take a spoon with you, you take a bucket. And from my point of view, where you achieve international standards by being certified with these sanitary standards or organic or quality management systems in terms of ISO, you take with you a bucket. You don't take a spoon. So this is my last slide, and I think it's fitting because there's in terms of women in business, there are a lot of good business women out there who are willing to face the challenge and go for international standards. So there's quite a few here, and I'm sure there's a lot more in other Pacific Islands. But you have to ask yourself, am I serious about my business? Do I want to be one where, do I want to be labeled as also ran? And yes, I'm joining as, yes, I also ran in the race. Or do you want to be in the top 5%? For those who want to go to the top 5%, you have to make the sacrifice and go the extra mile and get certification to international standards. When you do that, you're taking your bucket to the ocean. Thank you very much. That's all I had to share with you today, and I hope it was useful. The Vanuatu Chamber of Commerce has our contacts. If you want to get in touch with us, we're a small consultancy based in Vanuatu, helping local businesses meet international standards. I don't see any questions here, so I take it that there is no one in the panel who has any questions in regards to standards and certification. So with that, I think I'll pass it on to the next speaker, if there's no other questions that anyone would like to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you so much. We will have a presentation from the other panelists, and then if we have time, then that would be when we will have time for question. But thank you so much for those insights on standards. The next panelist, do we have anyone from the Women Entrepreneurs and Business Council? No, we don't. I recognize that the Papua New Guinea Chamber of Commerce is online. And so Papua New Guinea Chamber of Commerce, you have the floor. Thank you. No? SME Corporation of Papua New Guinea. Are you there? Okay, let's move on. Do we have representative of the Pharma Plus? No. Do we have representative from biosecurity? I take silence as a no. According to our list here, there should be the Women Entrepreneurs and Business Council, Solomon Island Chamber of Commerce, Papua New Guinea Chamber of Commerce, representative for Pharma Plus, and representative for biosecurity. If any of you are online, if you could identify yourself. If not, then we open the panel for questions. Okay, we will have a virtual, a recorded presentation from an entrepreneur in Fiji, and then we'll open the floor for questions and answers. Paulo. Thank you. So let's see if we don't have any question on that. But Mr. Paulo, what are some of the challenges you're seeing here in Vanuatu with respect to standards? Are you there? Or
Yes, hello?
oh, Paulo, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I've just asked the question to our virtual participants and those here if they have specific question on challenges, and it seems as if no one has come through. So I just asked, with the experience in Vanuatu, what are specific challenges you're seeing with respect to standards?
Yes, oh, thank you for the question. Yeah, firstly, it's the facilities and infrastructure. For example, if someone wants to export taro, manioc, they have to build a pack house. We cannot certify them if they don't have the proper facility. So I think where, in terms of individual growers who want to export, it's a bit of an ask for them to build a pack house on themselves. So it's best if they look at cooperatives, where cooperatives can come together as a group. Together they're stronger. They can come up with a finance to build a pack house, and then from there we can then go in and write their documents and train their staff, and then get the audit done so that they can start exporting their taro or manioc or what have you, produce. So that can be both frozen and fresh produce. We've done that in the past in Tonga, where we've assisted several growers who are also exporters. But the thing with there is a demarcation. A lot of growers want to be exporters, but then they don't have the capacity to be an exporter. I think that's something someone else had mentioned. So, but there are other exporters who do have the capacity, growers who have the capacity to be an exporter. So those are the kind of people that we can help to set up the systems and get certified. So to answer your question, yes, it's the infrastructure that is a challenge for a lot of people. I understand government is looking at building a pack house. I'm not sure what the status is that, where that is at. But in Tonga, for example, it's because I'm originally from Tonga, they've got a government pack house that's certified. But because the pack house is becoming more congested, there's more exporters go through. Individual private business exporters are building their own and getting those certified. So I think a large part of the challenge for exporters or manufacturers or business owners who want to reach international standards is getting enough funding to build a facility that will meet the requirements. But a key thing to understand is, from my experience, is some have gone and gone over the standard. So, for example, you can have one person spend over 200 million watu on a facility to meet the requirements, and another person spends over just about 10 million watu to build a much smaller facility, but still meet the minimum requirements. So both business owners, the one with 10 million watu facility and the other with the 200 million watu facility, will meet the minimum requirements. It's just that the other with the 200 million has gone over and above. The benefit with him is that he can expand his business and diversify. The other, obviously, will have to expand his facility. But what I'm saying here is that it's very important that you get technical advice, so that you don't start building your facility and then later on find out that, hey, I should have put drainage in, or I should have built another room. So that it's it's important that you talk to your chamber, and the chamber then can direct you as a business owner to consultants like ourselves, who can direct you in the right path in terms of getting certified, but doing it in an affordable way. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Palo Malo Aupito, for the response. Now, if we could all put hands together and thank you. Give a much larger one because you're close to lunch. Thank you so much, Palo. And you're here in Avila, so we would love to sit down and have a chat here in. Now, this is where we come. We have another presentation here, a special presentation. Okay, now we have plenary. Oh, that one. Okay, sorry. We should have one, but it's the technical. Now we come to we would like again to thank the presenters for the presentations so far, insights on an important area of now this is where we have the joint plenary session for question and answers, and where we operate and according to a program, Jill will be facilitating for us. Pastor Jill.
Thank you, DDG. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We are now coming to the close of this two-day symposium. Did you enjoy yourselves? Well, I like to joke a lot, so stand up behind your seat and do what I taught in the morning. If you didn't come early, your neighbor is going to show you what I taught them in the morning. Just watch what DDG is doing and do what he's doing. Ah, no. Another one. Start again. 1, 2. Again. Thank you. Do you feel warmed up? Anyway, the sun is already out, so have a seat. I don't want to stand in between you and your lunch, and I know it's Friday. In my language, we say furahi day. Furahi means happy. So Friday is a happy day for everyone. Thank you deeply. I know some of you were informed at short notice, and on behalf of DG, on behalf of DDG, on behalf of our program manager, Madam Sova, I call her Mom Sova. She's my mom in Vanuatu. I want to extend my appreciation to yourselves and also our colleagues joining online. It's been a beautiful 2 days. We've been going through the impact, and we see that it's a good starting point. Maybe some things did not go as planned, and for that we take responsibility, and we also ask that you forgive us, and next time it can only be better. Are we forgiven? If at all you came, maybe you missed a cup of tea or your tea came late, whatever happened, just know it was beyond us, and we are grateful for everything. We are coming now to a very special session. We had a training, semi-training in the morning on branding. You heard from an entrepreneur in Fiji, how he survived through the COVID, how he's been surviving. And interestingly, the name of his company is Rise Beyond the Reef. So it's about rising against all odds and ends. And then we had our esteemed Daryl, all the way from Tuvalu, but he's a Fijian national supporting Tuvalu, a small island state, and that's one of us as the Pacific. So we are going into a ceremony. I want to believe our private sector team have registered their names articulately at the back, because we are going to present something small to you as a memory that you attended your first symposium. And it will also encourage you to encourage others to come whenever we have such programs. But before we do that, I want to extend my appreciation to Madam Libby Malath. Maybe she should stand up for everyone to see her. From the Department of Industry, I believe. I want to extend my appreciation to Madam Joanna Spencer and the entire VCCI. They should stand up. I extend my appreciation to Director Joe Pakoa. And I extend my appreciation to Mam Sova. She knows why. We've been with her working through late at night to get this thing done. And the MSG team at the back, our IT team, communications. I also extend appreciation to Bridge Pacific, the audio visuals are there. We extend appreciation to our online team. Our appreciation to our MC, DDG. And importantly, we appreciate God for bringing us together. So in one way or another, these are the people who have pulled a lot together at the last minute. And I'm new in Vanuatu, I'm 2 months. So you can imagine when you're trying to get people, you are going to talk to someone you're meeting for the first time, and they assist you like this to bring it together. It would be unfair to forget them. We also remember PIFs this morning, Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat, and our able donor, the European Union. So having said that, we are moving into the certificate presentation, and that will be presided over by our Deputy Director General, Dr. George. Yes, Dr. George, I can't pronounce the second name, but yes, Dr. George will be presiding that over. And I also want to recognize Anna Nopa, Pacific Fusion Center, for moderating the session B. So a few pointers. Our first session, we had a training, and then we moved to Storian Blow Business. That was a dialogue on market preparedness and trade finance. There was also a session on standards. And you heard from entrepreneurs, you also heard from technical people. And with that, you also know, maybe I should let us know that SPC is having a call for funding. There's a call for funding by SPC. The date of closure is the 31st of this month. If you need any information, feel free to come by to MSG. We'll give you that information. If you need assistance on how to go about it, also look out for us so we can see what you can do and submit on or before that deadline. I think it's a useful call for funding. It covers a lot of issues that we have discussed here. And I would like every one of you to take advantage of it. And we'll be here to assist you with the technical and also the financial aspect in terms of writing it and making it marketable to the SPC. Are we okay with that? So you have our contacts. You just, if anyone wants to know more about it, look for us during lunch and we'll give you that presentation. The second session, I believe, was on trade agreements, and that was handled by Anna and Sova. We shall see the outcomes. We'll also send you the outcomes of this meeting, both of our colleagues on site and online. And if you have queries, you will let us know. And in those recommendations, we'll also put our action points, what we'll start working on immediately, in the midterm, and also in the long term. So I hope that clarifies. That is just not a talk show. We are going to get it done in the best way we can as God gives us the grace. So with that, we are moving on to the certificate award. In order of hierarchy and all protocols observed, certificates will be awarded by our Deputy Director General, and that will be presided over by our Programs Manager, Trade and Investment, Madam Sova. So I call them up, and I also call our colleagues at the back to bring a table. We lay the certificates, and we'll call you one by one, and you just walk. And I also ask Anna to capture the photos. Those of us who have attended online, you will get your certificates via email. So don't worry, we have your names. They'll be sent to you by MSG. So if we can get someone to pull out this lectern and bring a table, and Ma'am Sova will be reading out the names. And just to be orderly, we can all move like this. Eh? So when you're called, just move towards my left. Online attendees, kindly you're reminded to fill in your online evaluation forms. Thank you. We need your feedback. It's valuable. So when you're presenting the certificate, when you're receiving your certificate, don't just take it and run away. Stand, it's your time to shine. Take a photo. I like taking photos. And smile, and then go back to your seat. Okay? So we'll follow my left where I'm standing. I need to leave the stage for our two esteemed colleagues. So when your name is called out, you just come, stop, shake DDG's hand, take a photo. If you don't have makeup, don't worry, the glory of God will cover you today. And then go back to your seat. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, bless you. Maybe we can also have a director here, external trade. Sorry, I overlooked the hierarchy. So Madam Sova will call out, director will pick and give DDG, and we move like that. Thank you. From my government experience, I normally remember hierarchy, so pardon me for that. Clap for him as he comes. You don't just... So this is the protocol. Ma'am Sova will read the name. Member. The member is the one who will hand over the certificate. So DDG, you'll stand here. Yes, you'll stand here. We are servants to the members. Eh? So it will move like this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jill. The first one is Delcy Temakon. Okay, as next one is Abel Bong, whilst Delcy is getting her certificate. Abel Bong. Abel Bong. Marian Malco. Just make your way up, please. Janet Tangwa. Janet Tangwa. Janet Cultivate. Janet Cultivate. Not here? Joanne Willie. Joanne Willie. Emily Edmond. Emily Edmond. Gwyneth Lingo. Gwyneth Lingo.
Who's next one?
Gwyneth Lingo. Martha Malosu. Martha Malosu. Martha's not here. Lelani Vatu. Lelani Vatu, no. Mary Andrew. Mary Andrew. Tabi Wabelak. Tabi Wabelak. Lina Kalo. Lina Kalo. Helen Kalo. Helen Kalo. Helen Kalo. Luisa Pacoa. Luisa Pacoa.
Oh, sorry. See, I just want to give them, make them go before them. No, what's later. No, you must.
Sonia Matu. Sonia Matu. Alice Effie. Josibed Nauni. Josibed Nauni. Hope I pronounced that right. and Albertine Naoni. Albertine Naoni. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Director External Trade, for honoring this time to give our certificates to our participants. We have some of the participants have not come or have returned. So we've got them here and we'll connect with the Department of Industry to try and give it out. For those of you who are maybe here, but we didn't get your name, please just liaise with us. And also the online viewers will get your certificates, e-certificate sent by email. So we've now come to the end of the day. I'll now invite DDG, Mr. George Hoau, to give his closing remarks this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I will be brief. First, Excellencies, delegates that we have online and here, representatives, entrepreneurs, thank you so much. On behalf again of the MSG DG, PIPS SG, and the EU who have funded this, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you, the panelists, the presenters, those who have asked questions, our entrepreneurs who are here. Thank you so much. Like I said, I don't want to take your time, just to say that it is this kind of Storians, it is this kind of conversations that adds to why we as a region should continue to find answers, but at the same time to find questions that are important for us to ask ourselves. And by listening to Storians yesterday and today, I have learned a lot. I have also made a lot of friends as well. Yeah, friends with the I bought oh, I had one of this. I was one of the, when I went down to the for the DG's office. But I bought for me personally, I bought things from our mamas, and I've made new friends as well on yeah, I always like making new friends with everyone that I come across. Yeah. So we like to thank you for everyone here. Director Joe is here. We have uh, um, Anna and the team from the Fusion Center. But just to say that I think things that we have questions and conversations we have listened to yesterday have provided an important contours that are sufficient for our region to start connecting them together to finding a way by we can commit collective action toward strengthening the participation and progressive inclusivity of women entrepreneurs in the region and international trade. And so without further ado, I just like to say thank you so much. And for here, thank you to everyone who are here. Binakapakalewo to our friends in Fiji. Merci, thank you true. Malaopito to our friends in Tonga. Pafetai, lava to our friends in Samoa. Fakafetai Lasi to those in Tuvalu. Koraba to those in Kiribati. I'm still learning other more thank you in for those, yeah, I don't know. The only one I know is Tapeana, those from. Uh, but without further ado, thank you so much. Now we will ask for, um, no, we'll ask, we have to ask uh, Pastor and Adi Marawa to say the grace. But just before she said that, I'd like to ask to show our appreciation to this team of women from the MSG. In the beginning yesterday, I made reference that we have an MSG team of women who I totally depend on, and I continue to learn from them. They are professionals, but the professionals with different characters of the and I thought as I been married for the last 21 years, I thought I have had enough lesson about understanding a woman. But by working with these women, I continue to change my mind. No, they continue to challenge me. They continue to give me different insights of the way. So me like to thank him too much about this a team of women here. If I look at Jean, Sarah at the back, we have Adi Marawa, Pastor Jill, Nettie, Anna there. Yeah, okay, woman, yeah, me depend on them a lot. Me thank you for too much. Okay, now to wake up late, lot things. And Roy, the driver who always driving me around, whilst they do work late and okay, do him every workload that one. Me spell house no more. Him could to be spell house from say family blow no start with me, so he could. Only got family blow style of place, yeah. So he could for wake up all night. No, but seriously, me thank you too much, Lord, this team of women. Thank you so much. Our members who are online, our participant panelists, thank you. Thank you to all of you from the bottom of our MSG heart. And if there are any ways where we may fall short of things in light of this, we are learning new ways of trying to provide better ways of organizing hybrid things. But if we have fallen short of anything, our apologies and we seek your forgiveness. But we, above all, we thank you so much. And so, Adi Marawa, to say the grace for the food, and that should conclude our event today. Thank you so much.
Okay, may I request all of us to stand up? Okay, let us bow our heads in prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you with thanksgiving in our hearts. Father, we acknowledge you for who you are. We acknowledge you, Father, for your strength in us. We acknowledge you, Father, for you are our God, you are our King, you are a source of everything. Father, as we reach the end of this symposium, 2 days of symposium, we acknowledge you because you have given us strength to be able to deliver this for our members and also to our friends and colleagues across the Pacific. We acknowledge you, Father, that you have given us the strength. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your love. Thank you, Father, for your power in us. And also to everyone who's joined us, to our speakers, to our moderators, to all our participants, to our technical team, secretariat staff, forum secretariat, and all the organizations who've collaborated and helped us in this symposium. We thank you, Lord, that you continue to strengthen us. And Father, we give you back the glory and the honor to be yours alone. As we are about to conclude in this today, Father God, we thank you that you'll continue to help us in whatever sector, in whatever ministries that we work in, organizations, whether we be entrepreneurs, whether we be policy makers, whether we be servants to our members. Father, we acknowledge you that you will continue to give us strength. Thank you, Father, for a heart of service to our people in the Pacific. And also in particular, Father, that whatever we do, Father, may it bring glory to your name. Father, as we are about to disperse, I thank you, Father, continue to speak blessings upon your people, Father, as we are about to go back and continue work for the day and into the weekend. Thank you, Lord, you continue to protect your people, Father, wherever we are, to serve our families, to serve our communities, to serve our nations, to serve our beloved Pacific, Lord. Father, we also come together and pray, Father, for the food that is before us as we partake, Father, in love, and as we share, reflect on our journey for the last 2 days, thank you, Lord, as you connect us, as we build new friends, new collaborations across the Pacific and here in Melanesia. Father, this is our prayer. We thank you and we praise you. We exalt you. We return to you the glory, the honor and praise to be yours alone. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
So this would conclude our event since yesterday. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Participant, for those here in Port Vila, participant photo is outside. And after that, only if you're part of the photo, then you can attend lunch. Suppose you know attending photo, yeah, but no kakay for you. No, when we photo outside, picture outside, then we go for more stories at the dining place. Here, welcome Max. Are you there? Max is a friend from Sydney. Julio. Max and Julio are friends. Max from Sydney with Foreign Affairs here, and Julio is a friend from Switzerland. I'm with them MSG. Yeah, so those are friends. So, and to those again from our region, thank you again. Thank you from Port Vila, and you all have a happy Sabbath for those who this evening and this weekend, and for those on Sunday, happy Sunday, and all take care and God bless. Thank you. Remember this one.
Please fill your evaluation forms kindly. Fill your evaluation forms before you leave.